How do you see the scenario for startups, especially in post-COVID times, their survival rate and their success quotient?
Yes, I think that is a good question, and I think as you know, during the COVID times, the success that the startups have seen is actually tremendous, right? I mean, there was an initial phase and a patch where startups ran through a lot of issues and problems, but I think eventually they got over that, and they figured out ways in which they were able to maneuver these challenges that they were facing. So in terms of if you look at increasingly many of the traditional and legacy corporations are also looking at startups today as part of their own risk management strategy, right? I mean, for example, Hero Motor Corp, they actually heavily invested in Ather Energy, which is an electric scooter manufacturing startup. And this kind of allows this company to dilute their business risk that is created from their traditional automotive offerings, which are limited to fuel sources, and then move on to something totally radical and disruptive in nature. So I think what has happened is post-COVID, one of the things that startups have learned to do is, number one, they've learned to become very adaptive in nature. If you think about many of the Indian startups itself, they've learned from other successful new businesses that are there worldwide to build more effective offerings. I mean, for example, Paytm, which was really going through some tremendous number of challenges during the COVID times, launched their Paytm mini programs along the lines of WeChat to really create a hyper local commerce platform. And that now, of course, hosts brands like Fasos and Zoomcar and Track2, etc. What it has also taught startups to do is their agility in response, right? I mean, obviously, change is inevitable, and sometimes, and it's often unexpected also. And the pandemic has actually demonstrated that, of course. And most of the effective risk strategy for any organization is to really create a culture that fosters rapid adaptation to evolving situations. For example, an example of a company that did quite well during the COVID-19 pandemic times, Pharmacy. Pharmacy is the company that supplies, medicines, and it becomes your local pharmacy, which supplies you, medicines at a very short notice. And it is India's largest healthcare delivery platform today. It managed to provide safe and contactless delivery of medicines across India. And then that greatly reduced stress on the healthcare infrastructure, and that was already overstressed at the time. It also came up with some innovative models around not only just managing that aspect of it, but also providing COVID tests. Somebody would come home and give you a COVID test at a very reasonable price. The third thing that it has also taught startups to do is to create a collaborative approach. I think, and this collaborative approach has been synonymous to the Silicon Valley, right? But it has come into India in a very big way. People are ready to share what they are doing, take advice and information, and do collaboration with other startups and investors, etc., without trying to be very protective about their ideas and what they are trying to do. So collaboration is also very useful when dealing with government policies, for example. A lot of times, just being a member of the NASSCOM really helps critically in shaping the future policy to become more relevant and constructive for the startups, and therefore, reducing the compliance risk. It has also taught startups to be very proactive. Certainly, the reactive policies require a greater investment of time, and then often become very inefficient in nature. And startups really cannot afford either of that. So there has been more and more proactive policies that are emerging, and I think one has to be able to identify these emerging opportunities and capitalize on them early.